Park and leading women voters, mayoral debate, and council forum. Can you hear me? At this time, I would ask that you please turn off your cell phones, put them on vibrate, pagers, so as to not interrupt. And also at this time, I would like to start the evening out with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The League of Women Voters is rooted in the movement that secured the right to vote for women, has worked to foster civic engagement and enhance access to voters since our organization was founded in 1920. The League encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government, works to increase understanding of major policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Membership in the League is open to women and men of all ages. For more information or membership forms, they're out on the table, they're in the lobby. And also a little housekeeping. The turf, AstroTurf here is very sensitive to high heels or anything spiky. It pokes holes in it, so you're welcome after we're done to walk around the field and enjoy it. But if you do have heels on, we just ask you to take them off. And I think going barefoot on this turf might appeal to you. And there also is concessions around the corner. There's some, the concession stand is open. There's also cookies there that are free. There's a slight charge for concessions. And there's also restaurants around the corner, also in the back. I would like to acknowledge also for tonight is Barbara Anderson. Please stand up. She's president of our League chapter locally here. And if there are any other League members here tonight, if you please just stand and be acknowledged. Thank you. And I would also like to thank the staff here at Silver Street Park, Alicia Meredith, the Parks Director, Sean Payne and Ryan Smith, both have been very helpful in setting this event up here. They've done it all, and we couldn't have done it without them. And we want to thank them for opening up their facility to us tonight. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator, Liz Seawright. The League is very pleased that she accepted the invitation, and we know that she will do a wonderful job. Ms. Seawright is a native of Friars Point, Mississippi. She graduated from the University of Mississippi with a BA and MA in political science with an emphasis in Southern politics. Ms. Seawright is a consultant, playwright, and volunteer. She is currently a resident of Greenville, Indiana, where she resides with her husband, Norman, of 27 years, and her two sons, Norman III and Brandon. And I'd like to welcome Lou right now to the podium to get this debate started.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me just okay? Okay. Again, we would like to welcome each of you to tonight's forum, and thank you everyone for coming. Again, I'm Lou, and I will be your moderator for this evening. Before we begin, I would like to mention just a couple of housekeeping issues. If you have your cell phone, if you would at this time silence it and keep it on silence during the duration of this event. Also, we're going to ask you so kindly if you would refrain from heckling, booing, clapping, cheering. We know we want to support our candidate, but if we just save the clapping and applause till the end, we would be so appreciative. And also that will allow us to move quickly and allow us to get back home to our comfy night's sleep. Okay. Our format this evening will be as follows. Our mayoral candidates, each will have 3 minutes to respond to a particular question. They will have to answer a question, then they will have 2 minutes to respond, then there will be 1 minute for rebuttal. Candidates, we do ask that you pay attention to the time and be on time. We would so be greatly disappointed if our lovely timekeeper puts you in timeout, so if you would just adhere to the time limits. The green light, sitting there on the table, the green light means they're ready to go. Yellow light means if you have 30 seconds remaining to answer. Red light stops so that you won't have to go to timeout. Okay, our candidate, beginning here to my left, is our present incumbent Democratic candidate, Mayor Jeff Gahan. Also, we have our independent candidate, Mr. Roger Mayoral, and unfortunately, our Republican candidate was unable to be here this time. This is Dirk's meeting. Okay, the candidates, before they started, flipped a coin to see who would go first in answering the question. The first question will go to the mayor, Mr. Gahan. Also, before we begin with the question, he will do a 1 to 2 minute introduction.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mayor Jeff Gahan. Good to see you. It's my pleasure to be here. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this. I know you guys put a lot of time and effort into it. I certainly appreciate it. Looking forward to a good conversation tonight. I feel like over the last 4 years, we've done a lot of good things for the city of Albany. Just to let you guys know, I've served on the city council for 2 terms prior to this. The chair for 4 years. I'm also married to my wife Susie for 28 years. We have 3 daughters, lifelong resident of Albany. Again, great to see you all. Thanks for coming.
Ms. Bale.
Is it too loud? Is it okay?
Is that okay with everyone?
Is that all right? Yeah.
Too loud. Keep going.
Just keep talking.
Keep talking.
Okay. Because sometimes my voice gets raised and if I come off it's not distorted. But I'm Roger, and many of you would know me from being one of the owners of the Albany Brewing Company, which is Sports Time Pizza, Republic House, 10th Street Brew House, downtown New Albany. I've been doing that for about 25 years. Before that, I had lived in the county my whole life. Thought I might choose the evening tonight to divulge what is arguably my deepest and darkest secret. I want to get that out of the way before we go any further in the campaign. In point of fact, I did not attend New Albany High School. I attended Floyd Central High School. If you have anything to throw at me, you can do it now to get that out of the way first. My involvement with politics is something that is very ephemeral, and I'm quite proud to say that I have not ever held elected office. That's one of the bases of my campaign. I've been in the craft beer business basically all these years. It's a growing concern, some of you might know that we had, when I graduated college from IU Southeast back in 1982, which dates me, there were about 80, 90 breweries in the entire country. We now have about 4,000. I'm very proud of that, and I thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate the league for doing what they do. Thanks.
All right. First question will go to Mr. Gahan, and that is, what are your thoughts on this city's long-term potential? And if elected, what will be your priorities as your term begins in 2016?
The long-term potential of the city of Albany is really overwhelmingly positive. Over the last 4 years, we focused our efforts on the quality of life, building a quality of life residency for most everybody here. We focused on the business of residency to make every opportunity, we've taken every single opportunity to improve the neighborhoods, to reinvest in neighborhoods, to reinvest in our parks department. And because if you look at the metro area, New Albany has a tremendous amount of potential. We have some houses that are very affordable. We have a wonderful riverfront. We have a great scenic docks. It's a wonderful community to live in. And so over the next few years, we expect great things for the residents of New Albany because that's where we've taken time to invest. When we started our campaign 4 years ago, we decided then that we were going to work on the fundamentals, make New Albany a fundamentally better place. We decided we were going to make it cleaner and financially stronger. we've done all of those things. And again, the effort is to improve the resident, improve the life of every single resident. And that's what we're going to continue to focus our energy for the next 4 years. We've made great progress, and I expect that we'll continue to do the same.
Is this the statement or the rebuttal?
This is your response.
Response, okay. I told a story the other night when we were doing the Albany Housing Authority bid, and talked about how my wife, who's in the audience tonight, I forgot to recognize her in my introductory statement. Hello, how are you doing? When we first moved into our neighborhood on Spring Street, it was 2003, and we started going to neighborhood association meetings, and the topic of conversation at the neighborhood association meetings was invariably about three big problems. One of those problems would be an absence of consistent ordinance enforcement. There was an absence or non-existence of rental property registration and inspection. And there was the existence of two-way streets, or one-way streets actually, that were injurious to the neighborhood, reducing the quality of life. And so 12 years have gone past. I haven't always attended neighborhood association meetings, but I went to one earlier this year, back in July or August, and noticed that the topics of conversation that were coming up after 12 years were precisely the same ones that we've been speaking about in 2003 and 4. Nothing had actually very much changed. So I think that when we talk about that somehow or another fundamentals have been addressed when it comes to neighborhoods, then we're just taking a fantasy land approach on that, because actually it hasn't. There's certainly some good things that have occurred, but we still have quite a ways to go. I think I'll stop there. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, you mentioned a couple things on here that have been on the radar for a long time, but you have to acknowledge the good things that we've done. I mean, this is a former site. We're sitting in a former site of an industrial site that before we got here was 28 acres of abandoned industrial complex. We took it upon ourselves to improve this, make it a park, so instead of a place where everybody's running from, people are gathering to improve their health and to become more socially active. We did the same thing with the pool. The pool was 8 years vacant. It was an empty rectangle, concrete rectangle that brought blight to that neighborhood. We took that off, and we vastly improved it. We looked at Main Street. We took on Main Street. Cars were traveling 60 miles an hour. It was very ugly. We took that out. So we believe that we've done great things for the city of New Albany, and he did mention some things on the radar.
Thank you, Mayor. TIF, tax increment financing. What do you believe, and this question is directed first to Mr. Mayoral, what do you believe are the roles of the TIF districts in this community?
Well, my understanding of the TIF districts have been that it is a mechanism that has been established to address a couple of things. Either some economic development opportunity or a situation of blight, a blighted area to clean that up. I think most people in the room are familiar with what TIF involves. I think the best way I can describe my opinion about TIF is that TIF is fairly similar to something like bath salts. You really need to read the directions on the label so you don't use it the wrong way. And the record over the past few years, I believe, has been consistently using TIF funds for things that they were not intended in terms of economic development or blight remediation. Certainly the building we are in right now, would be an example of a site that benefited from TIF funding in terms of making something green out of something brown. But there was nothing in any of this that suggested that we should be sitting in what is the equivalent of Cowboys Stadium in Texas right now. This is an example of something I want to return to in the course of the evening. It's really applicable here, which is this notion that there is a price for things, and there's also an opportunity cost. And the price is whatever we pay to build this building and to build this park and to remediate the ground that we borrowed against future property tax take for that. And it's a good thing that the kids all enjoy using it because they're going to be paying for it when they have kids of their own. But there's also an opportunity cost for this. If we look at this and say that this is $2 or $3 million it costs to have this park, and the idea of TIF was supposed to be economic development, then what actually has been economically developed? When, at the same time, we have no discussion whatever in economic development about the existence of, let's say, fiber optic, something that is about to become as much of an important infrastructure issue as sewers or gas or electric or anything else, of having high-speed internet access is going to be the key to a modern economy. We don't talk about that, but we tipped something for economic development and made a park out of it and declared victory, and used terms of economic development in a way that would make George Orwell spin in his grave. Because this isn't. You know, it's a nice place. There are nice, shiny things. But there is a price for nice, shiny things. And then there is an opportunity cost for nice, shiny things. We're going to be suffering from that opportunity cost for several years to come, I would suggest. I'll stop there.
Response, Mr. Mayoral.
Yes, just briefly, he mentioned high-speed internet. It's this administration is bringing high-speed internet to 197 unit complex on Spring Street. First one of its kind, city of New Orleans. So for him to act like that we're not addressing that issue, that's not correct. Mr. Baylor is not happy with this because it doesn't directly improve his own circumstance. He lives on Spring Street. He is concerned about two-way streets over and over again. And I would like to remind him and everyone here, it was our administration that brought the study forward. We're the ones that asked Jeff Speck to come in and take a look at it and make an evaluation, make a recommendation. And that's going forward right now. It's being evaluated, and at a very soon in the near future, we'll be making some decisions on one and two-way streets. TIF, we're using TIF exactly the way it's supposed to be used. It's for redevelopment, it's for community projects, it's for infrastructure. Again, I'll go back to this structure. This is all about health. It's all about well-being. It's about young people improving their health and lives. Before, this was an industrial site that had buried tanks. It was an environmental mess. We took it upon ourselves to clean it up. Could not be more proud of this and the other projects that we've taken on. That's all.
Mr. Mayoral.
I think it would be very interesting at some point, rather than correctly point out that I have been an advocate of two-way streets, which I do because of the obvious, tested and proven redevelopment potential, economic development potential of such streets in an urban setting. It would be very nice for once at some point that if Jeff would, instead of tap dancing around the notion of analysis and studies, would just come out and say publicly what he's told so many people privately. Either he's for it or he's against it. It'd be lovely to hear that at some juncture in my life.
Okay. Thank you. Next question, Mr. Gahan. Cities such as New Albany have had to address large-scale sewer repairs and projects. What will you do as mayor to ensure that New Albany fulfills and complies with the EPA requirements? And what will you do to improve and maintain this utility?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm currently involved in sewer utility. I'm the president of the board, and we have done that for the last 4 years. We've made great strides maintaining the utility. When I first took office, there were 74 what we call sewer overflows, and that's a big no-no with the EPA. We've reduced that to 14 overflows. So we're making great progress. In 2016, we're scheduled to spend about $5 million on additional repairs and maintenance of the utility. But the key to maintaining our utility and keeping the finances in order is a preventive maintenance approach. We have an excellent sewer utility director, which, by the way, we brought that back in-house. When we took office, it was privately managed. We decided to do an evaluation of it, we could handle it ourselves. We brought it in, saved citizens millions of dollars. One of the things that we don't talk about very much, but it's important that you know that we've done a really good job keeping the utility rates in check and keeping the utility in line with the EPA. Just put in perspective, we have 207 miles. 207 miles, that's the size of the catch basin of all our that'll be collection based. So there's a whole lot of work that goes into making sure that the utility works and flushing the toilet. Your problems are taken care of. Very proud of the utility. It's come a long way. It's been a source of angst for this community for many years. At this point, it has cash, with cash and utility, so it's not strapped financially. So it's come a long way. We'll continue to do what we need to do to make sure it's a very strong utility and has and continues to function for everybody involved.
Response, Mr. Baylor.
There is such a thing as historical revisionism, so I think we need to go over a few facts about this sewer utility, which the program of reckoning is something that, of course, New Albany resisted for years. We finally came into line with that. It was during my recollection in the England administration when we first began to talk about sewer rate increases in order to make all this happen, to get the work going, to be able to retire some of that debt. I recall going to meetings when Jeff was opposed to that idea, and now he wants to take credit for what has happened as pioneer before he took office as mayor. But it's good for all of us in the city to have something being done. I'm not going to contest that because it's been a bane in our existence for a lot of years. I think now we're looking at the prospect where if the sewer utility is actually so flush with cash that we should be flushing the notion of the sewer utility as a cash cow. Because this has been something that previous administrations always wanted to do out of the sewer utilities, make it into something where the money can be derived for the funny backroom corridor wheeling and dealing that inevitably goes on in city government. So I would say today that if I'm elected mayor, I fully anticipate that we're going to be able to lower those sewer rates. We should do that because the city's been paying more for a long time to make up for what previous generations wouldn't do. We don't want to have a situation where we decide that we can skim cash off the sewer utility to avoid other things in order to do some budget shortcuts. And then we can pay a little bit more attention to the stormwater issue, which is another 800-pound gorilla, I think, especially downtown. But really in all areas of the city, we have to look at some long-term strategy to stormwater. We don't talk about that very much, and we need to begin talking about it.
Okay, rebuttal.
Yes, as far as us offering a discount or reducing the sewer rate, that would be practical if we were out from under the UP's watchful eye. And I don't have any complaint with the UP. I think they did us a service by coming in here making sure we're cleaning up our act. But after the projects are complete, after we get on top of all the capital projects that are mandated, that may be in the cards, but it's not today. Today we have to make sure that we complete those projects so the utility continues to do what it's supposed to do. So yeah, politically it's a cheap shot. So you have to lower your sewer rates. That's at this point it would be just inappropriate for anybody to suggest that.
Okay, next question. Continuing on in the looking at rates. Mr. Baylor, this question is for you. What is the current financial status of the city, and how would you maintain a balanced budget and still meet the capital improvement needed for its citizens?
When I first saw this question, I was struck by the way the question is being asked because there's two parts to it. The first part is, how does the budget look? And I may not be the best businessman in the world, but I do know how that works. And I do know that the budget is a living document. It's something that is being laid out for policy positions and what the city plans on doing. I know that our budget in the past 5 or 6 years has gone up by about $10 million, I think. You look at the spreadsheet looks good. Take a snapshot of the budget, it looks great. I know we have a lot of opinions on that. But really, the part I want to pay attention to here is the part where how do you fund the capital improvement needs? The word that was used was needs. And I think it's really important to contrast between needs and wants. We're talking about capital improvement when it comes to sewer utility, then obviously these were needs. Federal government, go to the head, you must do it. Stormwater is a need. We have a fee-based system for them, and we already have a budget that includes other needs. But the construction of the question seems to be, well, then how do you account for all the wants? And I believe it actually it already answers the question. It's a political issue as to what is a need and what is a want. A want in the sense of this building, and a want in the sense of a water park. Infrastructure needs versus wants. I don't particularly like the way the question is structured. And I'd like to return then to the notion that we would put some sort of moratorium on these gigantic projects, these bright, shiny objects that we continually throw out in substitution for things that are actually needed. Some economic development would be an example of something that's actually needed. We don't talk about that very much at all. We have a situation these last few years where we've lost Pillsbury, we've lost Stemwood, we've lost Datus. We lost Datus almost certainly because of the absence of some sort of modern internet infrastructure in the city. I think that when it comes to needs, economic development, we rank right up there. And I believe we can do that in other ways than adding it to the budget. A great burden to the budget, some creativity, recognizing that the independent local business segment is tremendously important for that. To note that we mustn't always be throwing money at large companies and industrial parks somewhere just because that's been the way it's always been done. That in fact we don't need to react to something like Pillsbury in a state of panic, throwing bundles of money at moving vans while they're moving outside to the next city, to Murfreesboro. We need to be focusing on things that will get some jobs and that will have me stop.
Thank you. Response, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Gahan.
Thanks. The financial condition of the city is very good. For the last 4 years, we've balanced the budget. In fact, we've finished under the budget for the last 4 years. We haven't raised taxes on anyone. We've been able to complete all these projects. We have a A+ financial rating. So I understand that he has some questions about some of the companies that are moving in and out. Let me point out some of the highlights. Samtec announced an expansion today. Beach Road and Tool also is undergoing an expansion. Our downtown is thriving. So those are all good indicators for me that we're heading in the right direction. We also, again, outside developers chose come to New Albany and develop 190 units in a 2-block area. So there's some good things happening in New Albany, and people are outside of our community are aware of them. And so we're seeing outside investment, and they're responding to our public investment. And I can tell you these investments that we've made are long overdue. They should have happened years ago. But we were able, fortunately, we were able to work with the city council, work with the redevelopment commission, work with the public, and respond to some of the needs that they've stated over and over again that they need. So I think things could not be better for the city of New Albany right now. We're in a really great position.
Constantly I brought back to the 1980s and the Reagan administration when I hear this discussion of ripple effects and trickle down and things that will somehow leach out into the community. And I'm glad that Jeff brought up the poolside development, because here's one of the more extreme examples of corporate subsidy, of crony capitalism, of corporate welfare, where we're handing over millions to an outside company who's going to come in and make luxury apartments, and we're using the justification that has to be with millennials. None of them will be able to afford those apartments. If you know anything about that market segment, you know, the millennial, using that phrase in the same sentence as luxury is a malapropism right there. So I was sitting here writing down what all the off-budget expenses have been through the TIF mechanism. You know, we did $20 million for parks. We've managed to do $5 to $6 million plus sewer tap waivers for the first time in history for the poolside developers. Yeah, this all adds up to that I have to stop again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Ms. Gahan. As mayor, what would you do to promote health and safety in the city?
Health and safety in the city. Okay. We made some really tough decisions when we got in, because the parks were in such really tough conditions. We had restrooms that were closed, water fountains didn't work, we had lighting that was out. So we were able to really take some steps to address these questions and all these issues across the city. So we made an effort to make our city become more healthful by investing in parks. This facility here, people are, I don't know if you guys have been around, but if you haven't, I encourage you to take a tour. We have a skateboard park, it's a walking track, it's a turf surface on the inside. We also have brand new football fields out there and soccer fields. So this is a much more healthful place. The water facility also will encourage people to be outside and get more exercise. The baseball fields and the softball fields, those we spend time on those. So that's very important that you understand that this is all in the interest of health of our young people. And additionally, safety, we've upgraded our fire apparatus, we've bought police cars, we've bought new equipment for the fire, in an effort to make our city safer. Again, if we're not doing our job to make sure that we're taking those resources, those public dollars, and pushing them into public service, then we're really hurting everybody across the community. So if you speak to our fire, our police, and our parks department, you'll see that we've made those investments. And you'll also have a chance to see how the people are responding to come to these facilities and how much more healthy our city is in, physically as well as financially.
Response, Ms. Mayoral.
Parks are not the only source of recreation in the modern world. And if I talk for a moment about two-way streets and a walkable street grid, once again, Jeff tonight takes credit for being the idea behind this, but we haven't seen anything happen. Walkability obviously would be one of the best ways to have an uptick in health. But other things that would pertain to health and safety would be some attention paid to some really inconvenient facts in this community, like the poverty level that we have. The people who are poor, people who are stressed, who have jobs that are meaningless, that are low-wage jobs, these people are not going to be able to enjoy the luxury of a healthy lifestyle. We don't have to talk about that. One of the reasons that I wanted to run this year was just so we could mention things in the public dialogue every now and then that tend to get overshadowed by this emphasis on which is quite plainly an emphasis on what the middle class and upper middle class white people want to have in this town. And it disappoints me very much that I go to Democratic functions again and again and don't hear the discussion about affordable housing, about income disparity, about living wage. We want to have a healthier city. We're going to have to really attack these preconditions that for many populations in this city have come unhealthy. That's not going to go away just because we don't like to talk about it.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
I think you'll find the parks that we've created are open to everyone. They're very affordable for the public. Again, I disagree with your approach that we've done anything other than make these facilities available to everyone.
You've made facilities that are open to everyone.
Excuse me, for that question.
I'm sorry. I thought I had a reply.
Pardon me?
Isn't there a reply to this?
Not on this question.
Okay.
He had the opportunity for a vote.
That's good.
Okay. Final question for tonight, and we will begin with you, Mr. Mayoral. Why should the citizens of New Albany vote for you?
It's a loaded question, because in the business that I've been in all these years, it's not my first instinct to answer a question by saying why I'm the best guy. When you're in the food and drink business, it's all about the people who work for you. It's all about people who are actually out there performing. And I get in the habit all these years of being in the food business of saying that, the employees rock it out, these are the guys that make things happen. And it puts me in an unusual position of having to be, because a lot of people already think that I have a tremendous ego, but it's not really that case. Puts me in a position of having to say, why would you entrust me to run this whole city? I think that if we really do return to the notion of fundamental genuine fundamentals of attacking things on a daily basis, of trying to have a level playing field throughout the city, of paying attention to details, and going out and making sure things get done. I just think that I have the experience to do that. I think that I'm someone who has spent a lot of years studying these issues. I don't have the hands-on experience in terms of sitting behind a desk somewhere in the city county building. I don't intend to do that. I intend to be away from that desk because we have this electronic means these days, and you don't have to be shackled to a desk. I want to be out with projects being done. I want to be out on the street. I want to be involved with it. I want to oversee this. I think in addition to that, being the business that I have been in the past few years, the aspects of the city that do involve entrepreneurial flair, that at last there would be somebody in a position of authority in the city of New Albany who actually understood what it is like to run a business. Because when you look around and see the people who are commonly making the decisions here, there's a noteworthy absence of that entrepreneurial thing. I come from a business where there were no breweries and now there's 4,000 of them nationwide. That is something I do understand. I think they have a fairly good flair for understanding that. So I think that's important. At the same time, I don't want to be a concert promoter. I don't want to be Walt Disney. I don't want to be a theme park operator. I want to go into the mayor's chair and explore the actual strange little esoteric fundamentals about the city, about how the sewers work, about how the stormwater works, and to attack these things. I do not anticipate in my time in office that I would have any pronouncement of the sort that says, Mayor Baylor presents this. What it's going to be for me is the city of New Albany presents this.
Thank you. Response?
Yes, I think Mr. Baylor, that last question, he's got a tremendous advantage because it's easy for him to sit on the outside and just talk about everything that's wrong with the city of New Albany and not acknowledge anything that's gotten better. Very convenient. And you can say, oh, look, there's a weed growing in that sidewalk, and you've done that wrong, you've done this wrong. When in fact, he attends council meetings on a regular basis. He always has something to say. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at what he's done, he's never done anything in a positive manner to support the city of New Albany. He hasn't. He spent a lot of time attacking city government, some of the things that we've done. But I'm very proud of what we've done. And all I can say is we've come a long way in the last few years. We've balanced budgets. We have much better financial rating than we've ever had. We've got some great projects finished. And I think he needs to at least recognize that. I think because most of the people do. And I just think it's been a very unfair thing to attack all the effort that's been put forth in the last few years.
Rebuttal, Ms. Baylor.
Excuse me. Well, I think that I've written, I don't know how many million words the last few years, and I will concede that it might actually appear to someone who seldom reads through to the end of the article that all it has to do with is criticism. In fact, I would say that I have many positive proposals for how we can take what we have in New Albany and make it better in economic development context. I've said more about economic development so far tonight than I've heard in a long time. I think that it's actually something that was mentioned earlier about the downtown revival. Well, the downtown revival had to do with people like me and the people down there that could benefit from a bit more help and a bit more assistance. And I think that we can do something with that.
Thank you, Mr. Baylor, Mr. Gahan. At this time, as we begin to wrap up the mayoral portion tonight, each candidate has 1 minute to give a closing statement. We will begin with Mr. Baylor.
New Albany does have many possibilities. One of the things that we really have to get better at and looking to the future is to actually let the parts of the city be what the parts of the city should be. The downtown area can move forward more than it has. I think in many respects the government just needs to get out of the way and get more cognizant of the entrepreneurs. I think we can make something out of this. I think we're a compact city. We have a lot of possibilities. believe I'm for it.
Thank you. Mr. Gahan.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we have tremendous potential, as we've talked about tonight. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to you about some of the things that are going on in New Albany. We have a very bright future for everyone, seniors, young adults, and children. Right now, the city's on a great path, and very soon you'll have a choice, and the decision is, there's a great contrast between the folks that are running. Great contrast. So this is a great opportunity to bring those contrasts out, and I hope to see you at the polls. Again, thanks so much for coming tonight.
Let's thank both of the candidates tonight by giving them a round of applause. Again, thank both candidates for coming and wish you well for election time. And we, at this particular time, will transition into the second portion of it, the city council.
Folks, please come to Amy Fest on Sunday. It's very important. Downtown.